So I figured might as well talk about it during a Tuesday talk. Okay, so we are getting ready to live stream now. And as I mentioned last week, even when Zoom is saying that it's preparing to live stream, it really is live streaming. So we're on now. Thank you for joining me. Today is Tuesday, November 30th. It's 10 a.m. And you'll notice that today I didn't have a whole bunch of bullet lists. Actually, I didn't say anything about what we were going to cover today. There's a few things on my mind that I wanted to talk about, and but I'm open to shifting to whatever the group wants to focus on. So the first thing that I wanted to share or ask about was about yesterday we had a webinar where specific churches from the Desert Southwest Conference were invited to participate and listen to Matt Ashley, one of the district superintendents for the Desert Southwest Conference, and Mary Lee Clark, our conference chancellor. So I was wondering, what are some churches, and maybe Calvary's not one of them, some churches needed to host a special charge conference to discuss and take a vote or something for the BSA issue that's happening. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yes, okay. So if your church is hosting a special charge conference, would you mind sharing what did you do to share the news about it? Go ahead, Jim.
We had a kind of a leg up on it because we just had our annual charge conference last week, and Javier did a real good job of presenting, what we were going to need to do. So it didn't come as a surprise. So we just sent out emails yesterday. We're having our next charge conference on December 7th, and including our governing board meeting, governing board members and the trustees. And we will be voting in that way. It was a little confusing yesterday, though. I thought the way the trend was going from what Mary Lee was saying, that we would be voting for that resolution. And I see yesterday, as of late yesterday, it came out saying the one group that was studying this had voted not to promote this. So I'm a little confused there.
Yeah, I do believe there is an article that was published recently about it, and it might have been yesterday what you're talking about. I know I just published one this morning, and it'll be included in today's newsletter. And Matt Ashley is working on an article now to include in today's newsletter. So I think we'll have a lot more details, some insight and guidance from the district superintendents in that article. I did remind them that, churches are going to be interested in knowing, so what should we say about it in our church communications? So just for now, I was curious, what are you guys sharing, or how are you sharing news about it? How about at Calvary? What are you guys doing about the special charge conference?
We do have one coming up, I do believe it's December 9th. So we are, right now, I'm just back into the office. So I just received the emails. Our pastor wants for the next 10 days, emails, text messages, informing everyone of the meeting so that we would be present. As for the details of it, I'm not clear on that right now. So all I know is that right now is getting the word out that we have a meeting with DS Javier coming up to discuss it.
So Corby and Shelley, what we're talking about is for some of our churches need to host a special charge conference about the BSA ballot. So if you know what I'm talking about, maybe you're one of the churches that needs to host a special charge conference. So I was just curious, what and how are you sharing the news about hosting a special charge conference in your church?
Well, I don't know anything about it, so I'm guessing we're not.
Sounds good. How about at your church, Corby? Are you guys hosting a special charge conference?
It's not using that parameter as
And maybe Corby doesn't have access to her mic right now. So if you're one of the people that's watching today's Tuesday talk as a recording, or you watch it down the road and it's before the whole BSA ballot thing is due, one of the main takeaways from yesterday's webinar about it is if there's questions about what to do, is my church one of the churches that's included in this? Who turned in the packet? Who would have received the packet? You know, any of those things. The guidance is to connect with your district office, and they'll be able to share with you. You know, look up to see. Oh, yes, your church is one of the ones that's included, and you know, maybe Marilee has your paperwork, or we're waiting on da da da. You know, any of that, they can share with you what the status is and provide some guidance. Go ahead, Corby.
Our church had the meeting date in our newsletter. We have it on our webpage and Facebook notification, and we've set it from the pulpit 2 weeks in a row. So right now, that's kind of how we're looking at it.
Okay, thanks. Hey, David, we're just wondering how people are sharing about their special charge conference about the BSA ballot issue. You know, just curious. One church asked me about it, and I know that Matt Ashley is working on an article for today's newsletter. So I was just curious what you guys, how you were sharing news about it, that sort of thing.
Yeah, via email from the pulpit. Yeah, in our newsletter, and ours is tonight, and yeah, and I also watched a little bit of yesterday's special meeting over Jody's shoulder, kind of around as I was wandering around, because they had a meeting. But then there was just a new announcement about some lack of progress in terms of negotiations and stuff. I didn't see any of that, but yeah. So.
Yeah. So hopefully Matt's article that's going to be included in today's newsletter will include some guidance on the latest news. So watch out for that. So I'm expecting, since it's an article that he's having to write today, we probably won't be publishing the newsletter like right at noon. It might be more like 3 or 5. It might not even be till this evening. But just, you know, keep an eye out for it. It comes from communications@dscumc.org. If you didn't get it and you're wondering about it, you know, feel free to send me an email tomorrow morning, whatever, and I'll send it to you and make sure that you are subscribed. Okay, so since David's here, he might have to jump out soon for another meeting. Oh, perfect. I was curious. I very, very recently was talking with David via email about some updates on how he helps some of our churches with tech support stuff, gaining control of their Facebook, maybe something with the website, and recently helped one of our churches transfer over to a free license of Office 365. Can you share a little bit about what you do and maybe about that free license, what people might be thinking, should be planning on if they're thinking about, oh, how do we apply for that?
Certainly, and I'll try to keep it short. Now I've stumbled upon very few churches who are actually paying for Office 365 directly, but once in a while I've found one that is, and then I kind of say, hey, you can get it for free, and it is possible to convert from a paid, because I did convert another church, and I'm about to convert my second church from paid version to free. All the Microsoft licensing is now easier done through TechSoup.org. TechSoup, and TechSoup has been very proactive lately in putting out some changes to the Microsoft pricing and licensing things that are happening in the not too distant future. They're not taking away the free Office 365 stuff. That's still going to be there, but I understand that there's some updates on the standalone programs that you can download and buy, and so it's worth visiting TechSoup.org and looking at their articles about the Microsoft licensing. The TechSoup can be a little tricky because you have to authenticate yourself and your organization, and then you act on behalf, like as a representative for your organization. So you can have your own identity, your own login, your own personal login, but your personal login is then connected to your church. And so there can be more than one authorized person, which is handy, because then you could have an administrative assistant or something and a pastor, and they can both go in and check on the things. I've not dealt with their hardware offerings. They offer new and refurbished hardware, but it's there as an option. It's a channel. So due to supply chain problems, I've noticed that some of the discount programs from either like Dell or HP or Lenovo, when I go to shop for their computers, I look when would I get it, and it's like, well, maybe a month from now or something. And so that's why I don't just rely on them for hardware. But other tech supporty things, yeah, I'm always happy to look at any sort of technical issues. The things I'm not real good at are the high-end live streaming things that involve real fancy, expensive, or the higher end cameras, and I've not had direct experience with that. So I usually refer that to somebody else. I am good at just general troubleshooting, and I know a little bit about a lot of things, and so I'm happy to look at any sort of technical questions and ways of saving money. I'm all about trying to increase the stewardship of our resources. So sometimes you get what you pay for. So sometimes you do need to pay a little more and get something that's not free or nicer. But just like, for example, the Canva stuff that's used, I find that to be an excellent tool. So I'm so glad that Christina has covered that. And I learn lots. I save the Christina follow-up emails in a special place because I said, okay, I'm going to go back into those and double check and see what I missed, because I've had a conflict and I'm not been able to make a lot of these meetings, but I'm still out there watching and hoping to be helpful when I can help with something.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I did notice about the delay in computers.
Yep.
We order through GCFA, and so we can take advantage of GCFA's discount, let's say through Dell. And what I discovered is, there is the delay. I guess it's the microchip or something, I don't know what. But they explained that if we were to order more, I didn't realize that we were ordering special computers, and turns out it is kind of special to order a laptop that has a 10 key on it. So like that's considered a specialty thing. So there'll be more of a delay on something like that than others that are pretty generic, frequently used. So keep that in mind. If you're ordering a computer and there's going to be a delay, if something like a 10 key keyboard, or just ask, what's the delay on this? Why is there a generic one? And maybe you could buy like an external keyboard that has a 10 key thing, or some other external. Maybe don't go crazy on the pre-built hard drive. Maybe you don't need a ton of space like that. Maybe just buy an external hard drive and then get your computer faster and cheaper. So just something to think about. Another item that I wanted to share with you guys, I'm going to share my screen real quick. What you're going to see when I share my screen is about the COVID variant. I'm not at all here trying to coach anybody on what to do. It's one of the things that I was running into as we're starting to discuss plans for annual conference, whether we have it online, in person, a hybrid. And so as I was looking up information about COVID because of the new variant, the Omicron variant, I just thought, well, maybe this is a good time to remind people, like if you heard about something and were wondering what's the truth here? What do I need to know about this? Do I need to include something in my church news? Go to the cdc.gov site. That's where you're going to find all the latest and greatest, and just direct people to go there. I was kind of annoyed that there wasn't a page that was specifically about this Omicron variant, but they need a little bit of time to update too, I suppose. But anyway, so that's the only reason why this one's up. And what I wanted to share, actually they did have a statement that was published. I haven't read through this one. I just opened this up this morning, and this is from just a few days ago. So I got here by going to the CDC website, and then when I went to, there it is. There's the CDC media statement. So that's what's on this page. I'll send you guys this link, and I guess I might as well send this link as well. Okay, so what I wanted to come to is the both and event. I mentioned this in the email. I went over it in our last Tuesday talk, and I'm first going to share with you guys, there are these past couple weeks, or at least last week I didn't have a Tuesday talk, but the week before we did, and I've been having some problems with sending a bulk message through our database. So many of you did not get my email, so that's why I'm covering it a little bit now, and I included in my invitation today just because you wouldn't have received anything about this. This is probably going to be included in today's newsletter, but in case you're wondering, so this is an event, and I don't remember if my email said that you get 90 days access or 30 days access. It's been a back and forth. I think we originally thought you would get 90 days access if you register for this event, both and continued. When you register, whether you've been to the first one or not, you're going to get access to the recording of the first event for 30 days. Right after you register, you get access, the link sent to you, and you can watch it for 30 days. And then this event, the continued, there it is, happens, when does it happen? Well, there it is, January 27th. That's when part 2 happens. So this is basically all about the hybrid part of it. And like I said, you're going to get a link to this article so you can read more about it. And I highly encourage you to register. Like, it's free. So don't worry about and should this person go too? Tell them to go, have them attend. Then it's more people that know about it, more people that might be recruited into a team that you'll need extra volunteers to run this hybrid situation. So why not? And if it turns out it's someone that really wasn't going to be involved, well, they just got to attend a free event and they can log out whenever they want to. Do you have anything to share about this? Any of you guys? You good? Okay. The other one is about the webinar that's happening next week. Technically, there's 2 webinars. They're both about the same thing. It's about starting a church and society team at your church. I think a few of our churches have a church and society team. Those churches can attend too, because what they're going to do is talk about what's the best practices and a great way of setting it up, and I think connections to the community, connections to the conference, all sorts of information. Each one is supposed to be the same content. It's the same purpose for each one, but each one has a different set of panelists. So there might be some juicy information that you get at the December 6th one that you don't get at the December 9th, or vice versa. I don't know that one is going to be better than the other, but if your church does not have a church and society team, I would recommend that you plan on attending both. You might watch the first one, get a bunch of information, not really have a lot of questions, but then talk to your team, talk to people, invite them to join you to the second one. And now you've got all sorts of questions because you've had some time to digest the information. So you don't have to attend them both. I'm just thinking out loud that, again, this is free as well, so you might as well attend. You might hear something at one that you didn't hear at the other. They will be recorded as well. So you don't have to worry about taking furious notes, but I don't always share up front that something's going to be recorded and that we're going to send you the recording afterwards, because I feel like watching a webinar recording is nowhere near as engaging and fruitful as actually participating and seeing what's in the chat and being able to type your question in there. So I'd put all my eggs in the basket of attending the webinar if I were you. Tell everybody about it. Include something about this in your newsletter maybe. Maybe you don't necessarily have a team in mind. Put it out there and see who's interested. And if you're looking for some, enticing language to put in there about what church and society team is, if you want something like, I don't know of anybody that would want to. I don't know who's into what. So you maybe want some help with that. Send me an email and I will connect with Billy Fidlin and the Church and Society team. I'm sure they can put something together that would be just perfect for churches that, are just kind of throwing out the net to see what bites, or for churches that, we have a certain group in mind and we want to tell other people, hey, this person's interested and you want to work with them and this is a worthwhile cause, blah, blah, blah. We'll see. I don't know what they can put together, but if you guys need something like that or would like something like that, let me know and I'll share that request with the Church and Society team and Billy Fidlin. They'll get you what you need. What else? Any questions about that? Okay. Then let me go back to my notes and see. Oh, no, that was it. That's all I had. It was just those 3 things. I will say I've had a couple of churches asking me about their contact form on their website, that something's not quite working right. So I'm curious if this is an overall bug, if anybody else has experienced that. These are WordPress sites. I haven't checked ours yet. I just heard about it this morning and today's my first day back from after vacation, so I'm catching up on all my emails. Raise your hand if you noticed a issue on your website's contact form. No? Okay, so it might just be a coincidence, or it might be that they have a plugin that none of us do. I don't know. So I'll connect with them.
Yeah, we use FormStack for our contact us forms, so I haven't seen any issues.
It's still a great thing to note is that, I'm, like David, I too can help with local church website stuff. Neither of us, it's not our main job. There's other things that we're juggling. But occasionally some major emergency happens and you need help right now. David might be available right now. I might be available right now. So please reach out. Don't feel like you're on your own and, oh my God, what do I do? And maybe look up somebody to pay to do this or, whatever. Reach out, and it might be something super easy that a few times when I've had churches ask me for help on something, we're doing a Zoom session, and as we're doing it and they're explaining to me what's going on wrong and showing me, they discovered on their own, like, oh, wait a second. Oh, I did this. Oh, never mind. I know what it is. So, don't freak out. You've always got help. Reach out, send me an email, give me a call. You'll notice my cell phone number is always at the signature line of the email that I send you guys, so you can text me, give me a call. Don't worry, that's what I'm here for. So that's all I have. It's 10:24. Thank you for that link, David, that you included in the chat. I will include that in the email follow-up notes. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Hope you had a great holiday, Thanksgiving holiday. Sorry, I know I did.